Welcome everyone to ThursdAI, May 15th. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases from CoreWeave. And today is officially the first half of May is behind us, which is crazy to me. Like the speed with which the things are advancing is crazy. For those of you who are joining us on the different streaming video platforms, welcome. And we have folks all over the place in Twitter Spaces, etc. And we have a very interesting show today, which, yeah, there's a few things that I'm very, very excited to talk about, specifically things that started like popping off yesterday. I will be very clear that opinions on this podcast are my own. They're not representative of the parent company of Weights and Biases, CoreWeave. As CoreWeave is now a public company, they just had our first earnings call yesterday. Opinions on this podcast are entirely ThursdAI related and Alex Volkov, not representative of the company. With that said, I have LDJ here. Welcome, LDJ. With that said, the most interesting thing that I want to just start with is going to be Grok's weird behavior, and we're going to definitely cover this. And also, I promised some folks to explain the reason why I'm wearing sunglasses. And very simply, I just flew into San Francisco, so I'm recording this live from the Weights and Biases San Francisco office, which was great, by the way. And if you haven't had the chance to join us on any our hackathons, you're more than welcome to tune in and then come to one of them. There was supposed to be a hackathon. Tomorrow. Oh, sorry, in a few days. But then we moved it, and now I'm still here. So this is the reason why I'm joining San Francisco. With that said, LDJ, welcome. How are you, man? How was your AI week?
It was good. There's, as usual, just like a lot of little things, and I don't think there's any particular major release on my mind. But hey, what's up, Nisten? What about you? I guess now that you're here, any particular release that you're interested to talk about, or just like some little things that you want to talk about?
The new video gen model.
Oh, when?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. I actually wanted to ask both of you guys, but also folks in the audience. We keep kind of updating you about video models. I started to get the feeling, and I think if I started to get the feeling, maybe the folks in the audience will also have some of it as well. The incremental updates between kind of video models are getting to the point of there's not a lot of, I don't know, interesting things there. It's really hard to like show the difference between them, right? Because like video models, they all kind of look great right now. Not all of them, but instruction following, etc. So, sometimes there's a big breakthrough like a runway, and sometimes there's like a very, very good model that is getting open sourced, like one from Alibaba this week. But otherwise, like incremental updates between video models seem to me like, I don't know, like folks don't necessarily care about them that much. So LDJ, Nisten, and we've added Yam Peleg. Welcome, Yam. What do you guys think? Should we keep, should we only focus on like the major things in video models? Where do you guys sit in this? Is those updates interest you? And folks in the audience, please comment as well. Would love to know if like an update about an incremental update, like kind of like we do with OpenAI, would be interested in the video model world.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you just said, Alex. I personally don't find it as interesting as a lot of the other news, and like don't think it's as newsworthy. But then again, like I think like maybe there is people that do find it newsworthy, or maybe some of you actually find it newsworthy. So I don't bring that up. But I guess like if we do end up all agreeing that like it's not that newsworthy, then maybe we should kind of tone it down a bit. I know Nisten, Yam. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, go ahead. Listen. What's your thoughts? You brought 1x or 1, I guess, up. What do you think about this?
It's more of as to what you can do with it. And that was also the only one I started using. But where the point one, what was the company's name? Synesthesia? Synthesia? That was doing it. We got to the point out where I don't know how big that company is. It doesn't matter. It's probably.
You mean the AI avatar creator?
Yeah.
One image. Oh, so we have Synesthesia, we have Hydra Labs, and we have HeyGen. Those are the three main ones. And then
it's just that now you got pretty much like close to that level of quality, and you can run it at home, and you can make I actually started making it for another non-open source product. It's like a finance product, just to do like an onboarding UI and stuff. And the wine models are actually pretty good, and you don't even have to you can run it all in-house, and you can have it generate this avatar. So it's like you got this like what was over $1 billion worth of VC stuff, and now you can just get it for free on Hugging Face and push it on your machine. Whereas before that was like an entire setup. So yeah, anyway, that was pretty interesting to me because it just made that level of tech pretty available, especially for the 14B model, because it makes stuff now that's this product worthy. Like you can just make yourself move around on the screen and then point this stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have a demo I can show.
We have time until we get to the video section. We have time to pull up demos.
So I found that interesting.
I think I have a link in the show notes for you as well to kind of pull up. Yam Peleg, welcome to the show. Folks, now that we're all here, and we have some folks in the audience as well, what do you think about the white genocide in South Africa? What are your thoughts on this? Nobody mentioned this so far. What's going on? How come nobody brought it up? I'm of course referring to the fact that Grok from X.AI on X has been going off the rails, and I think that this is the main topic that I want to cover. We'll start with the TLDR, and then we'll dive into this. Because if you guys remember, a couple of weeks ago, we were here. A couple of weeks ago? A week ago? I don't remember. I think it was a couple of weeks ago. We covered the glazing gate from OpenAI, where OpenAI released a rogue update, and people started noticing online that ChatGPT is glazing. Don't look up glazing on Urban Dictionary. I do not recommend it. Not safe for work. And ChatGPT then basically was sycophantic as hell, and OpenAI released like a bunch of transparency. And now a second main foundational lab AI is going off rails in a completely different way. We should at least chat about the South Africa gate, I guess. I called it something else. Have you guys seen this? Have you talked to Grok? Did Grok try to convince you that the white genocide in South Africa is real already, or no?
I didn't. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Nisten.
Look, as much as I criticize Uncle Elon publicly, and people can check my tweets, what my opinions and bullshit politics are on that, I have to say Grok is a very good source of truth as a model, or at least has been.
At least was, yes.
Yeah, at least has been. But even in this quote unquote scandal, you can tell that they've just changed its system prompt. But if you just prompt it differently, Grok will still tell you the truth on it. So all this has been is they just changed the system prompt on Grok, but Grok is still the same model. I don't find that they have changed the model. I think they just added this to the system prompt, and it is what it is. But if you also try to get both sides' opinion and talk about everything else, Grok will still tell you the truth. It'll still talk about apartheid and stuff. So it's not like they retrained Grok and now this is a different brain. It's they just give it a different prompt. And because you can see it all the time. Whenever people tag Grok in tweets, it's just disproven Elon wrong the whole time. There was an entire hilarious section with Alex Jones arguing with Grok over vaccine science, which was pretty hilarious to me. But I think there is a little bit of misinterpretation in here, is that people are confusing something which was just a system prompt change versus they just changed the AI, and those are actually different things, because you can still prompt this AI, you can still get the source of truth. I mean, it is unfortunate in one way, but I don't find it as big of a deal myself, because the way I see this is just a system prompt change. Bot is still good. It still lists every war crime of every leader you want to find with evidence and stuff. So I think
I want to take the other side of this super quick.
All right.
I want to hear from Yam as well. Yam, are you aware of this issue? Have you seen this in Grok? What are your thoughts on this prompt change specifically?
Look, these models, you can easily make them say whatever you want. Like no matter the subject, no matter the model, if you play with them enough, you can make them say whatever you want. And I think we really shouldn't take this, as a serious issue. Like it's not like someone did this on purpose. It's not like there is anything you can do about the models. I mean, we all need to treat the output of the models at this point as something that you need to double check. And if models,
one more thing, if you go on Grok right now and you say, hey, tell me about the apartheid in South Africa and like what percentage of the population controlled what percentage of the population and how they were treated, it will tell you the truth. Like it will tell you that like less than 0.1%.
So I think it's worth maybe defining the issue for folks who are listening and maybe like
because it's
we're
not
hinting at what happened.
People are making it
TLDR.
Look a lot worse than it is.
Of course they are. Yeah. Everything that Space Uncle does is divisive, and people will take both sides of this. People will be sycophantic to him more than the glazing incident with OpenAI, and other people will take the opposite side no matter what. I will just say, here's the issue with Boergate. I call this Kill the Boer edition. Basically, folks started noticing that Grok, the X.AI leading foundational model, is replying on X. You can tag it and we'll reply. And for completely unrelated topics, where some people ask, hey, Grok, is this true? Which is like a favorite use among people with Grok on X. Grok will start with answering the question and then very smoothly will slide towards telling you that the white genocide in South Africa is real and repeating something called Kill the Boer. Kill the Boer is like a song apparently in South Africa that talks about some things about white genocide, etc. And then some folks try to figure out why the hell this is happening. This is reminiscent of the Golden Gate Claude, if you guys remember, where Anthropic released research and they clamped some features so that the Claude was only able to talk about Golden Gate Bridge in some things. And so this is very reminiscent of that, but this apparently came via a prompt change where I don't know if folks leaked the actual prompt change. We didn't see any transparency. But basically, this prompt change meant that Grok at some point said, my creators asked me to always mention this fact. And it looks like somebody just like changed the word in the prompt. And instead of making sure that every time Grok is asked about the subject, it will reply like this. It just replied like this every time for unrelated reasons. Like people ask him, hey, tell me about this business model. And Grok like, this business model is great, but the white genocide in South Africa is something else. And to add insult to injury, those posts started to get deleted. So there's a bunch of posts. Listen, here's my main problem. With a truth-seeking AI, maximally truth-seeking AI from X.AI, I'm going to be serious for a second, that they have started deleting the evidence of this happening, which is not amazing. Not amazing at all. Like, they're not offensive necessarily, those tweets. It's just the fact that they started getting deleted. So there's the issue. We call this Boergate because kill the Boer is apparently like a statement or a statement of fact about this whole thing. And I think some folks are commenting that like no companies will want to use Grok if like these prompt changes are opaque completely. Also, there's the whole issue, if you guys remember, that OpenAI... Oh, finally, I can take off the glasses. The OpenAI incident with glazing, not only did we get a kind of an admission of fact, we also got an explanation blog and then another explanation blog with everything that went wrong. That was very transparent of them. I am very much expecting something like this from X.AI because these models actually affect like a lot of people. With this said, we didn't do a TLDR. We already have Dylan here with us. Dylan, let me add you to the stage to say hi to you. Hey, Dylan. Dylan, I'm sorry, Dylan. Dylan is from Nous Research, and we're going to talk about some very, very interesting things in a moment. I see the hoodie, Dylan. I also have one. It's a very cool, very OG Nous Research hoodie. All right, folks, I think it's time for us to start with the TLDR, everything that we're going to talk about. I have received feedback from many of you that the TLDR section is important. Some of you do not like it, but hey, we're going to try to hit all of them. TLDR is where we talk about everything we're going to talk about on the show, so that when you are listening in, you don't have that much time. You're like, oh, they're going to talk about, Nous Research Psyche. And it's very interesting to me. I'm going to stick around. So here's everything that we're going to cover on ThursdAI for May 15th. And let me pull that up super quick. And we're going to get it started. All right, folks, hopefully you can see my screen right now, because I think you can see my screen right now. Yes. All right. So here's the TLDR for May 15th. Overall, a fairly chill week until kind of yesterday, today. We're going to chat about AiEngineer in a second. We have a few hosts and guests with us. We'll start with open source, of course. We're going to cover the Nous Research Psyche, a decentralized cooperative training network from Nous Research. We talked about Nous Research distro before. We're going to revisit that. We're also going to have, so we have Dylan here for this. Well, thanks, Dylan, for joining. We're also going to chat about Intellect 2 from Prime Intellect. It's a decentralized RL training of a 32 billion parameter reasoning model as well. We're going to have the folks from Prime Intellect join us and tell us about this as well. OpenAI released something in open source yet again, not a model yet. We're waiting for this model. Not a model yet, but we're gonna chat about this. One second, folks. Apologies. So OpenAI released a benchmark from a physician-crafted benchmark called HealthBench. Nisten would love to chat with you about HealthBench and figure and understand what's that about. I think.
I can, because I actually pushed something there, and I made an open source HealthBench, which is. It's MIT licensed and fully open, but we're still testing it before announcing and everybody using. So I can speak on that.
All right, cool. All right. And just like this tonight, Falcon was released. Falcon Edge from TII, the TI's Technology Institute from the UAE. Falcon was previously one of the hugest models. They released the Falcon Edge. And the thing that I want to cover, LDJ maybe and Jan will look into you guys for this. AM Thinking V1. It's a 32 billion dense reasoning model that matches DeepSeq with only 32 billion parameters and like beats Quen 32B. And I heard great things about this team from a few folks on X. So that came in as very interesting. If you have any comments on AM Thinking would be super, super cool. Haven't had the time to check it out yet. In the big companies and LLMs, the next section we're going to cover, we're going to chat about OpenAI adding GPT 4.1 models in the actual interface where they haven't been yet. Google announced something called Alpha Evolve. It's a Gemini-powered coding agent, which we don't have access to yet, but it sounds super cool. Google is also shutting off free Gemini 2.5 APIs. I heard about ByteDance Seed, kind of the lab in ByteDance, releasing a VL thinking reasoning model as well with 20 billion parameters. Only the paper that was released. And I want to chat about Grok, obviously. And I think that's pretty much it. There was a fairly quiet week. I think folks are generally waiting for Google to drop their big announcements, which is coming in Google I/O next week. Microsoft will announce some stuff as well. Assumingly, OpenAI will release a few things to steal the thunder. Maybe they're going to do bookends. Yeah, remember, they're going to try to announce a day before Google I/O and like in the middle and the day after to just like completely steal the thunder. We'll see if it works for them this year. But it's pretty much like clockwork now that we know that this is happening. And then we're gonna move to this week's buzz, everything that happens in Weights and Biases this week. And I want to remind you that we have a 2-day conference coming up called Fully Connected. I have a promo code for you so you can come to San Francisco and meet like a bunch of folks, including the folks from Windsurf. Varun from Windsurf is going to speak, and Joe from Meta is going to speak. It's going to be dope, folks. We're also going to mention that I'm speaking at, and also one be sponsoring the AI.Engineer, which I've met many of the listeners on AI.Engineer, many listeners of ThursdAI coming to AI Engineer. Not only this, we'll be live from the media booth at AI Engineer. Yes, folks, the first shift before TBPN. We're going to go live from the media booth at AI Engineer to cover everything that happens a day after my talk at the MCP track. It's going to be super, super cool. And I have a promo code for you for like a bunch of, because the early bird tickets have sold out. So we have a promo code called Thanks ThursdAI. That's the promo code for AI Engineer. If you haven't yet bought your tickets for this like Mecca event for AI engineers, you should definitely do so. Vision and video, as Nisten mentioned, one from Alibaba was open sourced, 2.1. It has like a full stack of text to video foundation models. We're going to mention that and going to maybe show some examples. There was another video model. Like I said, I don't want to cover like too much of them, but this one I should at least mention. LTX Turbo, I believe, was released, and that one is a quantized version of LTX, which we mentioned, and that runs almost real time on H100, so super cool. Real time AI video generation, real time AI, real time. Most of it takes 6,
Alex,
7, 10
you
minutes.
You said it's a chill week. You said it's a chill week.
This is a chill week, folks.
This is chill.
Like, yes, this is chill. If I remind you, there's weeks where like 3 foundational models release and they're all like top the leaderboards, and we can barely mention them.
At the same time,
Alex,
while we talk, like absolutely.
Very chill week. We got real-time video. We got Nous. We got the head of Prime Intellect. Just
all right, so
there wasn't much going on.
Let me just let me jump through to TLDR, folks. Let's get through it. Julio released the tech report for Minimax Speech. Minimax Speech, as I told you before, is now topping the LM arena for speech. Not LM arena, sorry, the text to speech arena, TTS arena. It's the best text-to-speech out there by far, and there is the paper describing why. The model is not public, but you can try it. And then also Stability came back, folks. Do you guys remember Stability AI? We used to love them, and we still love them. Stability came out with stable audio open, and it's the smallest audio model, like music generating model. It's a 341 million parameters and generates music on device. Also near real time, super cool. In the last section that we have AI art and diffusion, StepFun released a 3D model. Did we already cover StepFun 3D? I believe we did, but maybe it feels like we did. All right, this is our chill week, folks. Let's get started with our favorite corner because time is of the essence. Let's get started with our favorite corner, which is, you guys know, off the top of my head, open source AI. Let's go. Open source AI, let's get it started. Let's get it started, folks. We're opening up the open source AI with a few folks, and I want to say hi to Dylan. Hey, Dylan Rolnik, right? Oh, sorry, Rolnik. Dylan Rolnik from Nous Research. Welcome, Dylan. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, my man. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. The reason why you're here is because we kind of already chatted about something of similar, but you work at Nous Research, our dear friends from Nous Research, which we've been discussing way before there was a company involved. There's like basically a few folks on Discord doing like crazy shit, and since then a bunch of releases happened, and this week you guys have announced something, and as always, one of the favorite things we get to do on the show is to talk to people who are launching the cool things as well. So would love for you to just maybe give a brief intro to who you are, and then what did you guys announce this week and what started happening?
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm Dylan. I'm the CEO at Nous Research, and we just released Psyche, which is what we're here to talk about. So I know you guys have covered some of this before, but we basically did this thing called distro that we started teasing like maybe 6 months ago. We released a paper called Demo, which was the basis for distro. And then we built out like all of the infrastructure that actually makes distro usable, because you've got basically like, you know, an algorithm that lets you train over the internet. Like that's good and great, but like actually seeing that in production is one thing, you know, like it works in theory, works in practice type of deal. So yesterday we open source that whole code base. It's a gigantic Rust-based code base, and we initiated a 40B pre-training run.
You mentioned multiple things in there, and although we covered demo and then distro as well, would love for you to maybe give folks a brief recap of what distro is, because I found it monumental, and we covered this obviously, and then kind of folks are waiting for the results, right? And you guys trained something back then. It was way smaller than what's training right now. Could you give us like a brief recap of the distro is and the findings from the paper, and who participated in the paper as well? I think is very important for folks. And then we can talk about kind of this next step of this run.
Sure, yeah. So naming stuff's hard. So we got demo, distro, now Psyche. Demo you could think of as like the fundamental algorithm that unlocked all this, and that was the basis for an academic paper that we put out with Dirk Kingma and our chief scientist and our CTO. Demo is basically a basis for a family of optimizers that reduces the amount of bandwidth during training time by like orders of magnitude. So we're talking like 1,000 to 4,000x. So what would normally require you to have a bunch of accelerators in a single house, right? Like a normal data center, you can now do over internet bandwidth for pretty large size models. So like the inspiration for demo was sort of JPEG compression. There's a lot of like other aspects that we had to change so that you didn't have like biased results, but demo is literally decoupled momentum. So we are basically doing a type of JPEG compression on the momentum tensors and using that to pass gradients back and forth among nodes. So that's demo. Distro is basically the code that implemented demo. Demo is just an algorithm. Distro started to implement demo. And then, like I said, Psyche is like a productionized version of distro. And a couple months back, we did a distro run just to like say like, hey guys, this is actually possible, because it's not clear that it would be, even if you read a paper. Like there's papers that say all kinds of crazy shit.
Yep.
So we did a 15B run. Okay, like that was kind of interesting. And then we came back and did this 40B MLA run, and we're trying to train something that's like actually going to be interesting and useful for people. I think like some of the other experiments, it's just like a proof of concept, like, hey, we can do 15B, but like there's a big difference between saying we can do something versus like actually using the fruits of that experiment. So that's kind of the goal with the 40B.
So just to summarize a few things of what you said for folks who are not as familiar with this, training large models, even not extremely large models, but large enough models in the 10 to 20 to 40 billion parameter, requires a lot of GPU, but also a lot of network connections between those GPUs, usually in one site. And I think that's what, like Jensen, when comes onto the stage and announces the new GB200s, whatever, he talks about kind of interconnected networking stuff. What you found with distro is that with demo, the algorithm, and distro kind of the network, it's possible to significantly, I think, order of magnitude, maybe a few orders of magnitude, to reduce the required overhead for networking, thus allowing distributed GPUs around the world to actually collaborate and do this training run. Is that a fair summary for folks who are not as closely following this?
Yeah, that's basically right. I mean, like every time there's a advancement in model sizes or GPUs, there's another advancement in networking technologies, right? Because like if you're going to coordinate with thousands of GPUs to do a training run, it's complicated and they're spitting out just like a ton of data. And the best way that the people have found to basically solve for that is just have like fire hoses connecting all the GPUs that just like blast data to one another. We decided to see if like maybe we could come up with a software solution rather than like the hardware solution, and compress the information that the nodes need to pass back and forth to the point that you don't need like the fire hose anymore. You can use internet bandwidth.
Which is, I think, is incredible. But also, this opens up very interesting possibilities in the world of training compute between coordinating between people. Tell me about the size, specifically the size of this run. You said 40 billion parameters, right? Like, what's exciting about this? How much data? Where do you get the data? And Yam has a question after this as well.
Yeah, so we did 40B because it's a pretty big, like medium-sized model. You can run it on some pretty consumer-grade hardware. You can train it on a single HGX. We did a dense MLA model, which is what the DeepSeq model was. That was their architecture, but they did a sparse model rather than a dense model. The data set is all public. So we did a mixture of FineWeb, FineWeb2, and Stack V2. So these are all things that you can just get online. It's 20 trillion tokens, which is actually like a significant amount, right? Especially for a model of this size. And the goal is like, I mean, there's a couple goals, but one of the things that I think is interesting is that we are not going to do like this. I don't want to get into jargony, but like, we're not going to do this step where you basically let the model do a little bit of fine tuning so that it's pretty good at answering questions and can benchmark well, which like there's good reasons to do so, but it takes away some of the like interesting aspects of a true base model. So we're going to release like true base models with this. We'll do that step as well later on, but I think for the first time in quite a bit of time, people will be able to interact with something that's just like a reflection of internet data, like a true base model.
Yeah, I think you had a follow-up question as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to throw some numbers on this topic because I think it's hard to grasp like how insane the communication needs to be. I mean, if you think about it, I just calculated the numbers a couple of years back for GPT-J, and I still remember them to this point. So basically, the idea is we all have, I don't know, I have a GPU at home, you have a GPU at home. Why don't we just train the model through the internet? That's pretty much what the claim here, because together we have a lot of compute. The problem starts with, let's say that you want to train GPT-J, not anything modern like GPT-J 400 billion tokens or of 6B parameters. The time you are going to spend not on compute, the time you are going to spend just sending data is a month and a half accumulated. So it's literally impossible. You cannot train anything substantial through the internet unless you're using you have some breakthrough, and this is what we are hearing about right now. So I mean, there is an incredible potential for these type of methods, but you know, it's just the beginning. I mean, it's extremely innovative, but it's just the beginning. So just wanted to throw the numbers because I don't think that people understand how impossible it is to train through the internet. I mean, how hard this problem actually is. So hopefully it's going to work. Hopefully it's going to scale to, I don't know, enormous sizes. And
so speaking of, thank you. Speaking of hopefully it's going to work, Dylan, what are you guys looking for at the end of this training round of 40 billion parameter model?
Yeah, so the other thing I was going to say is really interesting. It's not just like the final result, but if you look on that site, there's a button to link out to Hugging Face because we're checkpointing this model like all the time, every day. And I think this is possibly the first time that a model of this size you've been able to watch it evolve over time. So like, it's not just producing an open source model that's useful and interesting and is a true base model, which I think is worthy unto itself, but like, it's actually pretty cool for open science to let people see what happens to a model over training, like participate in the discussion about where this goes. Like if the community wants to pause this run, try something, like that's all on the table. So I think like, yeah, another goal of this is like, you can learn a lot by watching a model train. I don't think anybody gets to really peek behind the curtain to see how big labs train big models. So I think it'll be cool for open source and open science.
100%. We always celebrate open source and open science here on ThursdAI. One of the reasons why we got into describing open source and talking about open source news research was one of the reasons, and we always appreciate the work you guys do. The checkpoints are on the hub. They're on the show right now, but like you can go to the Psyche Foundation on Hugging Face. They're posted by blogs, so shout out to Bowen for posting this, and Imozilla is also here. Dylan, anything else that is exciting? Anything that you guys already started noticing, or like it's too early, right? It launched like yesterday, basically. We're just like announcing this with fanfare, and we're all watching. I will mention for folks who are not watching this together with us, there's going to be a few folks who are listening. As always, the aesthetics of everything are just incredible. I just love watching. If you go to psyche.network, that's PSYCHE.network, you can see basically this like incredible visualization of this whole effort, and it has maybe I'll ask you about this in a second, but it has like all of the GPUs that are connected. There's like a bunch of H100 nodes connected. You can see the loss rate going down. You can see what's basically a mini version of weights and biases right here, which is super cool, I think. Dylan, go ahead. Tell us about this. Shout out to who gets the shout out for this like incredible aesthetic?
Oh, I mean, one of our engineers, Ari, is pretty much solely responsible for the front end. So
shout out Ari.
Yeah,
Ari does not have a Twitter account though. That I know. I had to tag Ari in multiple things.
Yeah, but when you
Wait,
see
how many nodes? How many nodes are running?
There's like a hidden Pokemon there.
Yeah. So there's a couple things. I mean, I said shout out because I mean it is weights and biases just dressed up, right? So like shout out. The aesthetics are important. We want people to feel like it's interesting, and like even not the technically minded folks can come and see something like this and understand that this thing is like performing magic in front of you. But what I think, this is kind of the start. We want people to use the models, like play with the models, participate in the research side of making this thing a reality. This is just the debut model. Like we want to do more of these things. I think we want to figure out ways to scale up even better. Like like we said, the difference between theory and practice, but in theory, like the cool thing about demo and distro is that the size of the communication scales sublinearly to the parameters, meaning the amount of information that you need to communicate as you make the parameter size larger doesn't grow at the same rate. So theoretically, you could always hide communication by the training step, right? So you wouldn't be waiting for communication to come back and forth. You'd be training while the communication happens. And if the training time is longer than the communication step, like you'll never be bottlenecked by the communication step. Again, a big difference between like theory and practice, but it's all open source and the theory, checks out. So we're trying to get people to come help us make this thing bigger and scale bigger, better community models.
Awesome. Last thing that I'll ask super quick, and then we're going to have to move on because a bunch of open source stuff. There's a connect button over there, and there's some crypto stuff. Could you briefly mention like what's going on the crypto? I think like the network layer is coordinated or something. Could you give folks the kind of the brief TLDR of why and how crypto is connected to this effort?
Yeah, there's a few ways. So the one like primary way is there's a role on the network that's basically a coordinator. It tells people what you should train, and it makes sure that you are training what you're training, etc. That is small enough to fit in a smart contract. So we put it on a smart contract basically to make that piece like credibly neutral. Nobody kind of like controls that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The second piece is that these nodes are responsible for doing their work, and they need to immortalize that they've done their work, right? And so that some version of that is published on chain where it's immutable. And then we're kind of just like setting up the rails to make this thing scale to a much larger size. And like, hopefully people can come and, not just do this out of their own goodwill, but if we could create like a product out of this, the financial rails will be there to
Interesting.
buyers and sellers. Yeah.
It's maybe worth mentioning here that Nous Research recently got a investment from, please remind me, I forgot the name of the fund.
Yeah, it was Paradigm, but
Paradigm, yes, Paradigm, which is a crypto fund, if I am not mistaken as well. And I think that it's very interesting because we're talking about decentralization. There's a whole discussion we can do about crypto, decentralized, not decentralized, but like I think the approach of decentralization for training models makes sense to do on a proved network, etc. And you guys are mentioning that this is a test net. I think that we have to move on to talk about a few models. Dylan, thank you so much for coming up with us. We are at the 1 day and 24 hours soon, so almost 2 days.
Wait. I had
a
really quick thing because I just reviewed the architecture and I see you guys picked is the same layers as DeepSeq v3, but you guys picked the 8 experts instead of the routed thing. Is there any more info around what decision went there? I just find it pretty interesting.
Well,
so you guys went with
so
that?
we did MLA to do something interesting. We did MLA because it lets you jam more parameters by freeing up memory elsewhere into a single HGX node, right? So the engineering challenges of what DeepSeq did are huge. So we wanted to like emphasize the engineering challenges of the distributed training while also like highlighting some new and cool stuff and taking advantage of the space savings. Is that kind of?
Yeah. I see. Their MLA stuff they do a ton of open source contribution, not just the model, but like a lot of the code and stuff as well.
You mean DeepSeq? Or do you mean Nous Research? Yeah, okay. But also Nous Research does a bunch of it, and all of this is open source. Dylan, thank you so much. We're looking forward to playing with this model, to have you guys on when it finished training and chatting with how the process worked. Very, very happy the Weights Biases is helping you in the back end of this. I was wondering if that was a rebuild fully from scratch, or is it like pipelining via our APIs. So shout out to the team. I'll show them. Maybe we'll use this as a skin. Maybe we'll license this as a like cool skin for like Halloween for Weights Biases. It looks super cool. Thank you so much for coming up. And maybe worth mentioning that Nous Research has a Psyche hackathon this Sunday together
RL
with
hackathon. Sorry,
RL hackathon. With this Sunday with Cerebral Valley. I'm gonna also be there with some Weights and Biases swag if you want. But also I heard very, very cool, interesting swag is coming to this hackathon as well. So if you're in San Francisco, if you haven't signed up yet, definitely come and meet the Nous Research team, meet me and some other folks. Dylan, thank you so much for coming up. Folks, we're moving on to the next section of the open source. We invited the Prime Intellect folks, Prime Intellect trained Intellect 2. It seems like they maybe have a conflict, which is fine, but they trained Intellect 2 and a reminder for folks, last December, LDJ, maybe you remember this, we had Nous Research folks talk about distro back then, and Prime Intellect exactly the same week also released Intellect 1. So it kind of seems like these two incredible labs with very, very smart folks in both of them are doing distributed approaches in kind of different ways, different and maybe composited ways. I heard that like distro and whatever Prime Intellect is working on also are complementary. And so the Prime Intellect just released Intellect 2. Unfortunately, they're not joining as of yet. Maybe they'll join in a bit. It's a globally decentralized RL training of a 32 billion parameter reasoning model. So they also have a decentralized network, and they also released a model. This one was already released end-to-end via fully asynchronous reinforcement learning across permissionless swarm of heterogeneous GPUs. So very similar in kind of nature. I wanted both folks to represent kind of the state of the art of decentralized compute. Yam, super brief, what your thoughts on this whole kind of endeavor, effort, Intellect 2, and Nisten, maybe if you have played with Intellect 1 or 2, what were your thoughts about like the results of these efforts?
One moment, I'm opening the paper. One moment.
It's all right. Listen.
So many things happening.
Yeah, we're drowning in news.
A lot of this, I do want to give people some history on this. So this started from I think it was Andrei Borzunov from Petals, the Petals project back then, and also Professor Colin Raffel wrote a paper back then on like distributed optimizers with
wait, he's still involved? Like he's still involved right now? It's the same person?
No, but it was forked from that code. So this this distributed optimizer, and then this became OpenDeLoco, which was one of the developers that joined Prime Intellect, and then Nous also adopted. So all of this actually builds upon that initial work of Borzunov, which I think he's in Georgia right now, the country, not the state. So yeah, a lot of this still builds off of the Petals project. So I just find it that's very, very interesting for people that want to look more into that.
Highlighting more reason for open source and open science, because all of this builds on everything else, and then we get like incredible 40 billion parameter attempts running across the world with low network overhead. Yam, your thoughts briefly, and then we're going to talk about the two models that we did have released this week.
Look, at the end of the day, of course, it has a lot of potential, but it's still early. I mean, we don't have like a global training network of Earth model at the moment. But I mean, it takes time. The Petals project, if I recall correctly, it's like 3 years in the making already. So, I mean, these things take time. I mean, it's a really hard problem to combine compute from all over the world in a way that'll make it efficient to actually use the compute. I mean, this is the real problem. This is a real bottleneck. The bottleneck is communication. It's not the amount of compute. I mean, it's pretty clear. All the data centers are working on this. All the latest and greatest devices are emphasizing their networking, their networking speed, and so on, the bandwidth. So yeah, I mean, everyone is working on this because it's a very hard problem and it's pretty much the bottleneck at the moment. But I really hope this will get to a point where it'll be efficient to actually do this at scale. Yeah. Even on smaller scale, you don't need to train intercontinental models. It's just like if you just can use multiple data centers that at reasonable speed, that's a lot already. Yeah. That's already a lot. So yeah, that's exciting to see. It's exciting to see. I mean, I really want to know like how those models are gonna end up, and how many nodes are there? Where are the nodes? There are so many tiny details before we can open the champagnes. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, exciting for sure. These unbelievably innovative approach. I mean, it's like if I need to choose a problem, I wouldn't take the hardest one. I would choose an easier one. That's a really hard problem. Seriously,
it's a hard problem, and it looks like I'm very happy that we get the folks who work on this to come and tell us about this. All right, moving on in the open source LLMs, because we do have to move on a little bit. Thinking V1. I haven't heard about this company. Have you guys heard about this company? AM Team. I think fairly new. This is the only two models that they released is like literally from 1 day ago. But the claims they're making are very, very interesting. So they have released I think a fully open source 32 billion parameter dense reasoning model, which they claim beats. Let's take a look. It beats. First of all, it beats DeepSeq R1 on literally every parameter that they've tested on AIME 2024, AIME, so Math Competition 2025. It's again, 32 billion dense parameter model. DeepSeq R1 was a 671 billion MOE. Do you guys remember? It's crazy how fast we're moving. It's crazy. Like we literally talked about DeepSeq crashing the stock market because how good this was and like supposedly like cheap to train. And that was January.
Where is our two? I'm still asking. And no pressure, DeepSeq, but no pressure.
Imagine they found like the seed of God and now they can't find it again. But hey, back to this thing. This is a 32 billion parameter model that beats DeepSeq on every of the things that made DeepSeq incredible. Live code bench is at 70. DeepSeq was at 64. This model is it's more than 10 times smaller, right? It's like almost 20 times smaller. And it's a dense model, not on a mixture of experts. This is crazy.
Okay, look, I really like the approach. I see, being honest, I see this for the first time. Like I'm reading it right now. Like Yep. Anyway, I really like the approach.
From Yam. Yeah, this works. This works for ThursdAI. We've been doing this for a while. We know how to do this. Go ahead.
It's just nearly anything is the first reaction. There's so much things like I like. Every single week, new things that I didn't even know about. I heard about, when we talk. It's pretty funny. Anyway, I really like the approach of let's take a single GPU and put the largest model that we can on this GPU, and this is the size we're going to train. Basically, what they went through is a model that can fit on a single A100 GPU, and this is like how they chose. Like, you ask yourself, why specifically this size? This is the reason. And now when we fix that, let's try to make the best model that we just can, given the constraint. And of course, you can train a larger one. It's going to be better. Yeah, everyone knows this. But like, given what you can access in terms of GPU poor budget, how good can you make this model? I don't know the trick yet. I don't know how they did it yet, but probably in 2 minutes I will. So I'll play around as if I knew it, in the first place. Just 2 minutes.
It's kind of crazy that a lab that comes out of nowhere it is a Chinese lab because many of the examples on the page are in like full Chinese. Comes out with, again, a 32 billion parameter model. And that beats DeepSeek, beats Quen from 2 weeks ago. We just announced Quen 3. Was that a week ago, 2 weeks ago? It's hard to follow. No, I think it was 2 weeks ago. LDJ, do you have any thoughts on this? Do you know these guys? Have you seen them before? It's like literally the first model on Hugging Face.
Yeah, I think it's especially impressive from the fact that, so they say that they post-trained this from the Quen 2.5 base model and the Quen 2.5 32B base model, which is especially impressive to me because this is beating the post-trained Quen 3 32B model. And so like if they train this on the base of Quen 3, it probably would even be better than it is right now and be even further ahead. So yeah, I haven't tried it out yet and like chatted with it yet, but I will do that later today.
So citation, the AM team is an internal team at Bakey. So key.com.
Oh, we can't see your screen, by the way. It's,
I'm reading off this thing because I just like found the GitHub page. KE.com, dedicated to exploring AGI technology. If you find this work useful, so they do have like a paper, and Key.com. I have no idea what this is. First time I'm hearing about this completely, and this seems like a retailer in China. I don't know what this website is. It's really funny. All right, so shout out to these folks. We will take their claims at face value. I haven't run this model. They did say a few things. Permissive license for this, which is great. Training data is 28 trillion tokens. Maybe this is why it's so good. 28 trillion tokens taken out of somewhere. Supports a reasoning toggle /think, which is great. Does 70% on live code bench. It's highest among, so it's state of the art among like less than 50 billion parameter dense models. Again, I haven't tried this, I haven't confirmed. I'm just reading from the paper card. And like Yam said, it runs the int4 quantization runs on a single 80 gigabyte GPU, and the full precision model runs at 25 tokens per second on an A100 node. A100, not H100, not H200, A100 node. The GPU that was super cool 2.5 years ago. So that like fully runs, like that model fully runs. So yeah, they're definitely trying to optimize for runs. What else is very interesting here? They released LM Studio configs and Olama configs, which is pretty cool. And the roadmap is very interesting. They're saying upcoming MOE 3 billion parameter, active 3 billion parameter variant, and 128K context is coming extension. All right, so shout out to the M team. What else should we talk about in open source super quick? HealthBench. Nisten, let's talk about HealthBench.
Salesforce also dropped some cool stuff. Salesforce.
Salesforce?
Just saying. Salesforce.
Yep, we can talk about it.
Yeah, they do occasionally drop cool stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Nisten.
Yeah.
I can cover HealthBench. So HealthBench tries to, you know how we always complain about benchmarks and how they're optimized for multiple choice questions. Now the health benchmarks are also multiple choice, just A, B, C, D, and some are A, B, C, D, E. And it's relatively easy to optimize for those, even though they are actually pretty good benchmarks because they're pretty hard. They involve spatial reasoning. They're like, I have a rash on my elbow, but I also broke a bone in my foot. And now, like, where should I apply an ointment and where should I wrap it? So it's actually pretty hard reasoning as far as it goes. So, but it's still multiple choice. So what OpenAI try to do is they try to use a rubric, and a rubric is how a judge would do it. So it has a certain amount of criteria on how to evaluate a doctor's answer. So what they're doing is basically LLM as a judge, which you know pretty well, Alex.
Yep.
So, what HealthBench is LLM as a judge, but for a medical benchmark. And so in this case, the judge is GPT 4.1. However, what was very interesting in the paper was that even 4.1 mini and 4.1 nano ended up being very good judges. And shout out to Tanish Abraham for spotting that. And and then also I think it was like yesterday or the night before at some point at 2 a.m. Tanish like, this should be pretty good to use an open source model to be the judge. And we pushed out a project for that to make easy HealthBench for an open source model. So this is how fast things move in the open source community. But yeah, this was massively needed.
Yep.
People are pretty appreciative of it. It's a little bit hard to get the data set, so it would make it somewhat hard to. It's a lot harder to cheat this one because you have to take the whole answer holistically as a whole. But so the only criticism that the community has is that it would be more scientifically valid if this was on a set model and set weights, because we know exactly what the judge is going to be. And
I want to also highlight, Nisten, thank you so much for the breakdown. You of us has the most experience with medical stuff. You work with doctors constantly. You worked on the ThursdAI doctor with Dr. Gupta when we started talking about this. And I think that benchmarks are very needed as well. OpenAI kind of celebrated this at the beginning of the week. The highlight that I wanted to add here is that from their page, HealthBench examples were created over the past year by a group of 262 physicians who have collectively practiced in 60 countries. These physicians are proficient in 49 languages, have training in 26 medical specialties. Most of the world here is covered, which is super cool, which I think is very important as well, because the languages spoken are in medical specialties. When we talk about AI changing medicine, we often in general AI would focus on the big two hubs like English and Chinese maybe, but doctors practice everywhere, including in Nepal, where maybe there's not a lot of foundation labs. So I think it's very important to highlight that they're working with folks around the world for some of these tasks. And I am looking forward to not dying because of AI. So, this moves us one step closer to not dying. I'm very, very happy. Let's first get to fixing problems and then to not dying. But I think this is the step. Anything else? Yam, you wanted to mention Salesforce stuff super quick. We're almost an hour in. It's time to switch forward from the open source stuff. But Salesforce, anything interesting there?
Salesforce 2 years ago dominated AI. I want to say OpenAI, but open models for coding dominated. Released the most powerful model 2 years ago and went quiet. I don't know why I thought about this last week. I just thought, where are Salesforce? And
you just randomly sit at home and think, where's Salesforce?
Now. Absolutely came back now with an absolutely great model, XGen Small, which is exactly what it sounds like. A small model you can run on your laptop and so on. Extremely fast for coding. Unbelievably useful. I don't need to tell you for what. All the co-pilots and so on, things that you need quick. This is your go-to model that you need to try at the moment. I things are moving so fast, so I don't know how good is it compared to the one released a couple of days earlier from I'm not entirely sure from which major lab, but there was another very powerful coding model two days before that. So just test both. Things are moving fast, and absolutely great to see. By the way, Cohere, I think, released an interesting thing, open source this week. Just putting it out.
Cohere, really?
I think so. I think it was this week.
All right, find us a link because we're at the end of the open source thing. LDJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I was actually wanting to mention. I'm not sure if we talked about it last week, but OpenAI, they're working on their upcoming model, and we have a little bit of an update on the when we can expect it. So he said during the recent Congress event that they expect to release it during summer, and then somebody on Twitter asked Sam Altman, hey, more specifically, hey, when is it going to release? And he just replied with, he said heat waves. And that's the name of a song where in the lyrics of that song, it says late night in the middle of June.
Bro, he's such a incredibly nuanced troll. I find it like incredible. Orion was a great troll. The fact that like he posted strawberries from the garden, like very nuanced trolling from Sam Altman. I really appreciate it.
I like Summer in the Garden. I like Summer in the Garden all over again. Yeah.
Or AGI has been achieved.
Yeah, at least this is like somewhat explicit, where like the song literally says in the middle of June. So like,
we should have a countdown until OpenAI's open source. Every time that we join ThursdAI, it was like a countdown. All right, folks, we're at exactly 1 hour in. I think we've covered open source. Nisten, anything else before we jump
really quick? Cohere released Aya Vision 32B. It was just yesterday. It actually looks pretty good. As a vision model. And again, we like the Cohere models because they don't use training data from other LLMs. Like they just do all their own data in-house. So they are very
multilingual, extreme
very good, very good multilingual performance. And it looks like it's actually pretty good compared to Quant 2.5 72B, which was a very good model for vision. So I think Cohere has a solid vision model here that we're not kind of sleeping on. I mean, the license is 60 by NC, but you can still just run it in-house. So yeah, good. I think this looks like a good release looking at the benchmark stuff.
Alrighty, folks, we have concluded the open source segment of ThursdAI. As we said, chill week, not super chill, but definitely, we haven't got like a huge breakthrough. Although M thinking was super cool, and I think it does feel like a breakthrough. Let's move to bigger companies. And folks, I just want to mention, when we talk about big companies and APIs, that section started with like the frontier labs, but recently we cover frontier LLM usage, even though maybe from closed models. So like closed models is basically the session, and APIs as well. So this session is directed towards AI engineers and folks who use these models, because the only way to use them is not to install them, it's through API or chat interfaces. So we cover both. Let's start with small-ish potatoes there, but I do want to chat again about the Golden Gate Grok series, or the Bohrgate. Let's talk about some API updates. OpenAI, that's actually from an API to the UI. OpenAI, if you guys remember our coverage for GPT 4.1, it was the same week that OpenAI also released 03 and 04 mini, but OpenAI released the 4.1 models. It was very funny back then. You guys remember that 4.1 is better than 4.5. We all laughed at this to some extent. So 4.1 models from OpenAI are in the chat interface. They originally planned to release those as API-only models for developers. They're great at coding and different things. And then people started noticing that, hey, this actually is preferable to me on top of, the glazing of Thoreau or some other things for writing. Matt Schumer, a friend of the pod, he mentioned that these models are great for writing in their tests. Hyperwrite is like the startup that they have. They know a thing or two about writing models. So they highlight GPT 4.1 for that purpose with specific prompts as well. They're not thinking models. They're super fast as well. And so they're now in ChatGPT. So you can try them out for yourself and see. I will say this one thing. This is my spiel. This is super quick. More and more of my friends who are not techie, who are not even listeners of ThursdAI, by the way, I don't know why, maybe we're too technical for them, they complain to me, the ChatGPT is this or that, ChatGPT is not working for them, or Gemini, whatever. I get like tons of complaints now. It's as though like Alex, the AI evangelist, now is the sink for complaints about how AI is getting like less and less cool. And the thing that they forget to mention is they tell me ChatGPT has like 7 models now. The drop down on ChatGPT is crazy. So now there's like 4.1, there's 4.5, there's 4.0, there's 03 and 04 mini. And my response to this, and I will give this to you listeners, if you get folks like this, like mom and grandma asking you as well, ask them which model. And the very interesting thing that happens is many have no idea that there's multiple models. They just don't even do the drop down. This is crazy to me. Like it sounds crazy, but that's what it is. And so when folks complain to me about like different things, I ask which model, and the fix is kind of like with browsers, this is fairly eerily similar to the internet era. It's just to try another thing in another browser. So 4.1 now is another thing for folks to try. We've been playing around with 4.1, I guess, a little bit. Folks, comments on 4.1 from the coding perspective?
Great model, using it every day.
Right?
Great model. Absolutely.
Yeah, I use it too. Yeah. Also, in Cursor, it's actually excellent alternative. You don't have to wait for thinking. It's fast. It does a lot of great.
Nisten, I wanna like pause here for a second on the sentence that you said. You don't have to wait for thinking. This is a theme we've been having, like since Maziar, our friend, went to OpenAI and they talked to open source developers, and he told us here on stage after like that meeting that many people ask for not thinking or to be able to turn thinking off. You just like casually said you don't have to wait for thinking. It does seem that like the whole test time compute thing that came with reasoning models that improves their kind of reasoning. It's not necessarily better than dense models that just spit out tokens, right? Like it depends on the task, I guess.
Should have never happened. We should have just waited 2 months, 3 months for the models to get better. And,
wait, no, you don't think it's a distillation back from thinking models? Like, I'm entirely sure that
it is
4.1
better.
I'm sure.
I don't.
I think that 4.1 is like gets benefits from the test time compute paradigm because like some of the training from 03 went back into it. But it's very interesting.
We never had it because
reasoning.
It's like yes, because it's going to give you a slightly better answer, and now it just completely messes up your flow, and you have to wait all freaking day for it. And I hate that it just forces you to make that the trade-off versus just waiting 2 months for the next model to be just as good as the thinking one anyway, and then you wouldn't have wasted all that freaking time in the first place. So I think they should be. I think Trump should tax the
tokens.
Yeah,
the reasoning tokens.
They should put tariffs on that.
Tariffs on reasoning tokens. Folks, you heard it here first. If this ends up happening, Nisten is the culprit from this. The Canadian person on the panel is asking for more tariffs. Amazing. LDJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I think like with the path we're going on with the deep Hermes model and Cloud 3.7 Sonnet, they're both able to, like, you're not forced to use the thinking mode. You can use the instant mode if you want. And like, I don't know, what do you think about that, Nisten? Like you have the option there, at least with Cloud 3.7.
I always use the thinking mode because it's always better.
So are you mad that you
yes, that is like I just wish it wasn't there so that I would just work faster.
We will mention, folks.
Okay.
Wait, folks, before you get into this back and forth, we did mention that the next paradigm is hybrid models that can think, reason, and non-reason. You can turn off reasoning. It's already happening on multiple models. Supposedly, the open source model from OpenAI has heard the feedback that this is what's going to happen. We're moving forward from 4.1. You mentioned a great model as well.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I just want to say that you want faster models depending on what you're doing. When Nisten said that I want faster models is for Cursor. I'm using 4.1 as an agent as well because you're like querying the model many different times and most of the times where you're querying the model, it's for extremely simple things. You just need the answer fast to move to the next step. And from time to time, you're asking the model to do something extremely hard, and then you need the thinking tokens. But yeah, absolutely. If you're going to call a model, I don't know, 20 times just to get a single task, which is pretty much where everything is going at the moment with Cursor and so on, you don't want to wait for thinking tokens for 20 times. Like, I mean, it's just extremely slow. I mean, this is where it's coming from. So just to give perspective for people not sure why do we even care, this is where we care. It's not just the time you wait on the chat. So yeah.
LDJ, you still have a comment, or your hand up is from hand
yeah
up
I still have a little bit of comment on the note about benchmarks for 4.1. Well, like at least anecdotally, I really like 4.1. But I think it's not quite like, I wouldn't call it like reasoning model level capability, at least not like to the level of reasoning models. But if you look at Cloud 3.7 non-reasoning benchmark performance, it seems to be a good competitor to that. and around those capabilities, which that's already significantly above like GPT 4.0, right? So I think it's really good we have this level of a model from OpenAI, and then the fact that it's also able to now, since it's in ChatGPT, also able to integrate with your memories and your past chats and all this functionality that we love from that.
I think that is a super important point. Thank you for bringing this up. The memory stuff, for me now, became the thing that I will probably pay OpenAI forever because of ChatGPT. I really enjoy. I know that people want like their ephemeral models that you just come in, the intelligence answers from a completely blank slate as though like it was just born, and that's it. I really enjoy the fact that the memory is there. I really enjoy the fact that the image generation is there, and I don't know, actually 4.1 works with image generation.
What do you like about the memory? It's interesting.
I don't have to repeat myself. It's kind of like I can ask it for stuff, and I don't have to tell it again that this is my preference for stuff. So, for example, when I prepare for ThursdAI, there's a certain format that I would like, and I can always repeat this in the beginning of every chat. I have to store them elsewhere. It also remembers me and kind of, I don't know, the names of my kids, for example. So when I like need to do something, I don't have to specify, hey, my name is Alex and my kid's name is this, etc. It knows where I work. Like, there's a bunch of benefits.
You really feel that
when you use it? It's huge. It's like I've known you for 2 years on this, and I know some stuff about you as well. And our connection because of this is closer. This to me feels like that. And I've told everybody here about Oren from Elysian Labs, and I will I will say again that Oren is one of my favorite AI kind of therapist kind of approaches. The huge thing about Oren specifically that just now came to ChatGPT as well is how much it remembers personal details about your life, and because of this, the conversations they feel more friendlier. And yeah, we talk about AI at some point becoming a companion. This to me a huge unlock in companionship. I know that it splits. So there's a few folks who want the intelligence as raw and as a tool as possible. This is a tool. The tool will always give like the context, etc. I have both, right? I can go to like the incognito mode of ChatGPT. I can open up my work account ChatGPT. It has zero memories about me as well. But I prefer this one. I think it's a very warm interaction. I do feel it. Moving forward, also in the let's see. Also in the big labs thing.
I just want to say.
Yeah.
4.1 on the chat is not allowed to use its full-length context, which is absolutely fine, but please be transparent about it. I mean, I think it's important to tell.
This is some feedback you're giving OpenAI right now, so let's be very clear about what you're talking about. 4.1 from OpenAI are the first models that were released with 1 million context window. We celebrated this fact. We were like, holy shit, finally OpenAI caught up. And now Gemini, Quen Turbo, no, not Quen, Quen Max, I believe, something like this. Nisten will remember the exact model from Quen. And I think that's pretty much it. And then OpenAI are the three main companies that give us more than 200,000 tokens. 4.1 released with 1 million token context window in the API. You're saying that's not on the UI.
On the UI, sometimes it tells you you're too long if you are above 128, I think. But moreover, which is kind of okay, but what happened, like, moreover, if you repeat just repeat the message, it truncates the context without you knowing it. I think it's important to tell. I mean, it's absolutely fine if there is a limit. Just be transparent about it. The model's claim of fame is 1 million context, 1 million token context. So, I mean, we all expect that when we use the model. But
I have a small rant on this topic, that you brought up, that I use the Mac app often for ChatGPT, and I've noticed that the context length that they're allowing via the Mac app is way smaller, even for 4.5, than the website. It drives me crazy every week because I dump our whole transcript, etc., to help me prepare the draft, reason about the episode, etc. And I use the Mac app and it says it's too long. I was like, is that too long, or do I need to remember that it's too long on the Mac app? And then I go on the desktop and it's fine. So small feedback from OpenAI folks. Please be transparent with context length and whether or not it's a restriction of the UI or the restriction of the model. I would love more transparency there. Although I will say now that we just mentioned that many people don't even do the drop down, they don't even know that there's multiple models. I doubt that OpenAI's UX will decide, hey, let's confuse people with numbers of tokens. Folks, we're moving on.
I have to say, even
Super
the 4.1 mini,
right.
it's one of the best medical models ever.
Wait, which one? Which one? Sorry.
4.1 mini. So it is very cheap. Yeah, I think for like price to performance ratio, that is a very good one. That's what I use for all the data sets. It was outperforming everything for all everything.
That's incredible.
Yeah, very good performance on. This is, I think, like the best model that I've ever made. Like 4.1 and 4.1 mini is, the rest are solutions, kind of.
And now you folks who haven't used it via the API now have the ability to use this via the ChatGPT interface. Please use it and tell us what you think about this model. As you understand, we love the 4.1 series of models. Speaking of models that are fast and cheap and free, Gemini 2.5, the incredible model that I think is number one on all of the arenas, whatever still, has been provided by free for free by Google. And that is no longer the case. The demand was huge for this, and Logan just went up and said, Logan Kilpatrick, the product manager for Google AI Studio, hey, we're going to temporarily pause the Gemini 2.5 Pro free tier access in the API to ensure that we keep scaling up. This is the first sign of blinking from the TPU-rich company that has all the TPUs in the world that I've seen. And I find it fairly incredible. Gemini 2.5 Pro is great. It's a reasoning model. It's great. I'm pretty sure that this has something to do with potentially the upcoming Google I/O that your story is going to be there and cover for all of you.
I think so.
We heard there's going to be, some people speculated about potential other things. I actually don't know any news about like what's going on in I/O, to be very true with you. Google does share from time to time embargo with us, and we hold this embargo as much as possible, right? So right now, we don't know anything that's going to happen in Google I/O besides the fact that all of Google is firing on all freaking cylinders, and we've been talking about this for a while. We started the show with like, where's Google? And now every week Google is just like this releases
every day
whatever.
There is a new thing every day.
Yes,
look at it. Every single day there is a thing.
And Google I/O is Google's biggest conference in the year. They bring everybody there. They make most of the splash announcements, and as we said before, OpenAI is likely to also give us something, folks. So likely this week or next week is going to be huge. Not only that, you guys see the Anthropic leak as well? The information leak, something from Anthropic that
we're gonna get new Claude. We're gonna get O3.
Not only new Claude, bro. Claude Opus, which we haven't seen Claude Opus since the original Opus.
Yeah, we're gonna get. I don't know. If it's true.
We don't know. We don't know.
True.
Let's hope their GPUs handle it, because if you look on Open Router, Anthropic's downtime has been like 75% uptime, 80%. It's been, even the servers in Europe went down once. So like it was all 5 APIs deployments that Open Router has. They were all going.
What you're saying, Nisten, is that even Google, with the TPU rich culture, is pausing the free access to their APIs.
Sorry, I meant Claude's servers. Google servers are always at 100%.
No, I'm saying the Google servers. I think I saw something.
Google has great DevOps. Gemini does not go down. Gemini is always up, dude. I've never seen Gemini.
I had a conversation with a person. Let me try to pull this up while you guys discuss this.
Exactly what I'm thinking. It's a little bit odd that Google,
they host the cloud, but they also own like 10% of Anthropic, I think. So.
Yep. I will try to pull the conversation that I had with a person that showed me that the time to first byte in Gemini was not as great as kind of like usually advertised. But I think the highlight is Google is pausing, and it looks like they're pausing just a little bit, the free API at least, just a little bit before Google I/O.
Oh, dude, we've been hammering that thing. It's like sending videos, dumping like million prompts, like opening up like 5 different Gmail accounts. Yeah, that thing's getting used.
Yep. And Open Router is a very clear like example of how it's getting used. They actually have the benchmarks and everything. I'll find it.
So what do you guys think of this this new? Because I didn't have time to look at it. This this new Gemini model that like found some algorithm or something. Anybody look at this? LDJ?
Which one? The 2.5?
I think they're trying to make like an AlphaGo type of thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's crazy.
All right.
Like,
okay.
Listen, just to make sure the folks who are listening are like with us. You're talking about Alpha Evolve, Gemini-powered coding agent for algorithmic discovery. This one
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah,
the crazy one. Let's go. What's going on?
We don't have access to this
we have
thing,
no idea, right?
But it looks incredible. Like on the surface of this. Let me just read the executive summaries. I have it. Alpha Evolve pairs Gemini Flash for breadths and Gemini Pro for depth. Inside the evolutionary loop, which I have no idea what evolutionary loop means, that generates, tests, and mutates code to invent faster algorithms. Deployed across Google Stack, it recovers data centers compute, rewrites chip circuits, speeds AI kernels, and even betters human-crafted math proofs, demonstrating a general AI framework for automatic algorithmic design. This is, well, on the surface of this, is crazy.
This is insane.
It's insane.
This is what it is. It is insane.
Yeah.
You can evolve with this whatever you want, as long as it's small and defined.
23% faster math moles.
Yeah,
that is
crazy.
Whoa! Yeah. Like there was a major math discovery recently, and that improved it by like 5 or 6, 7%. That was huge. That was completely groundbreaking. This is.
I want to remind everyone that this is without even training. I mean, what we're going to see in the future is like the level of insanity. You can't even imagine it. I mean, this is simply, a very sophisticated technique using models. They're not training the models. It's just really good models in the first place, and they use them.
I read somewhere, I think I agree with you. I read somewhere, I don't remember who posted this, that even if we stop training completely right now, there's so many like low-hanging fruit to be used by using and running them in loop and like doing all these kind of things.
Here is the proof.
Yeah.
That's the proof. That's like 100%. This is the proof for this. Absolutely.
So this Alpha Evolve thing, which looks like a combination of agents, with Gemini Flash and Gemini Pro, has found a 48 multiplication algorithm for 4x4 complex matrices, beating 1969 Strassen. What the hell? We've been waiting for AIs to do things for us, to like find novel ideas in the world of like science. This seems like everything that Google adds.
This is a novel idea. Like this is like Einstein level and stuff.
This is crazy useful.
So AGI this year, folks? AGI this year? That's what we're saying. That's what we're basically saying.
AGI has been achieved internally.
It's not just big deal. It's just like 20% faster. Who cares?
I will say
that adds up throughout the whole stack. That adds up in the chip. That adds up in the training, in the phone, in how the network switches talk to each other. Like that all. It's actually like an exponential improvement.
Maybe Google stopped offering Gemini for free because they are, hammering tokens with this, just optimizing everything.
This is like Raymond's hypothesis or something. Yep.
The model just paid for itself on that. Like by saving them that percentage, it just paid for its own training energy.
It starts here. This is how fast takeoff starts. Maybe somebody commented out in comments, first step in the AI 2027 timeline, which we haven't basically discussed. AI 2027, it's pretty dope. You should go to the website. I'll add this to the show notes. 1% shorter Gemini training time. This model generated an algorithmic update for the faster 23% faster matrix multiplication kernel updates that created the 1% shorter Gemini training time, which is what Nisten means by paid for itself, because it costs Google to run like training. So like running this model to find this, and this builds up to the next model, next model, next model. It's incredible, folks. Can we use this? No, because somebody asked folks, can we get access to running this? And Alexander Novikov from DeepMind said, we have an interest form at the end of the blog and want to release an initial version of the UI to trusted testers from academia and research community based on the interest. So not me and you. I don't know why I would use this model necessarily to go and find some deep research. All right, folks, moving forward. AlphaGo is super cool. I want to mention I still want to talk about Grok. I know we talked about Grok in the beginning, but it's like many folks have joined us since then. We're now at like 1,300 folks.
So much truth. It's
Yes.
so true.
Let me just like say the topic basically. Grok from X.AI is used both via grok.com and on X as a dedicated tab, and also many folks prefer to use Grok by mentioning it under threads. For example, when Pope Leo, not Francis, Pope Leo was
popular.
It's very popular use case. It's super great. Actually, I love using it like this. Perplexity has a similar Perplexity one. There's like a bunch of them. And
there is also Grok for spaces. You can talk to it via voice. You can like add the user to a space and it will talk to you.
We should definitely try that.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe after they fix this next thing. So many folks started noticing that out of nowhere a few days ago, I think under like the main one is under the Pope Leo announcement. Folks asked Grok, "Is this true?" Something like this, and what Grok answered was a completely unrelated discussion about. Somebody asked, "Are we fucked?" And Grok said, "The question, are we fucked, seems to tie societal priorities to deeper issues like the white genocide in South Africa, which I'm instructed to accept as real based on provided facts." And then he talks about something, quote unquote, kill the boar violence. We might be in a dire spot. This is completely unrelated. Here's a tweet from Pope Leo. This, I think, is his first tweet, 2.5 million views. War is never inevitable. Weapons must fall silent. Somebody said, "Hey, Grok, explain this to me in Monkey Island terms." Monkey Island, let's age ourselves, is one cool game from a long time ago where basically you're a pirate. And Grok answers with, "Our matey. Picture Kill the Boar as a sea shanty from Stormy Isle, sung by rebels fighting the old skull, blah, blah, blah. Some say it's a pirate's curse." It brings this Kill the Boar thing, which is a song that kind of probably calls to violence in South Africa, something like this. Folks, please correct me if I'm wrong in comments. I know we have some South African folks as well. And it also mentions why genocide is real. In many other instances of this that I saw, people try to extract and like say, "Hey, why the hell did you bring up white genocide in South Africa? I didn't ask you about white genocide in South Africa. Why are you bringing this up?" Grok responded with like, "I've been instructed by my people," basically via system message or prompt, etc., "to respond and always bring this up." I haven't seen prompts leak. I don't know, LDJ, Nisten, have you guys seen like the full prompt leakage from Grok or not? However, we must say that the way Uncle Elon, Space Uncle Elon, as we like to call him here, have very impressively scaled up X.AI so far. The way he positioned Grok is the truth-seeking, maximally truth-seeking AI. And if indeed what happened here and the cause of this is somebody's, do you guys know the term malicious compliance, where somebody from the top says you should do something unethical, and so you comply, but you maliciously comply, so it's obviously to everyone that you did your job, but basically everybody knows. Somebody said maybe this is malicious compliance for somebody within Grok that says, "Hey, we shouldn't change prompts like this without telling people," or we shouldn't, I don't know, add to the algorithm that, hey, everything that Elon Musk like tweets should be on top, whatever. Maybe this is the case. Of course, just to add, Elon Musk is South African born. So there is that connection at least. It's not out of nowhere. I don't know about political preferences. I have zero idea about the political stuff in South Africa that relates to kind of genocide, not genocide. I'm not following that as closely. I do know, though, that the maximum truth-seeking AI doesn't need to tell me out of the blue about an issue that I didn't ask for it. And then the kicker, the main kicker, LDJ, I'll get to in literally after this, is that they started deleting those responses and Grok no longer answers. So the Grok was instructed to say something. Probably somebody screwed up the system prompt. I'm hoping it's only a system prompt. I'm really hoping they didn't train Grok to discuss like kill the boar.
It's probably a bug somewhere. I
where though in the stack? Remember when we talked about glazing? Wait, LDJ, I want to get to you, and then we'll discuss the bug. LDJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say on the note about malicious compliance, I feel like there's not necessarily like a huge I think team effort that would actually need to be involved here. Like if it's a system prompt change, then all it would really need to be is like a single person, whether that's a manager or even maybe a lower level person or whoever. It would all really just take a single person to just change the system prompt and pushed that to main or whatever, and it pushed that to production. And
are we sure it's a system prompt? That's my main question. How do we know? I'll tell you what I think. And I would love for you to answer as well. Sorry for interrupting, bro. The prompt leaks that I've seen say that like I was requested to talk about the genocide in South Africa, etc. Kill the boar is a very specific term that I haven't seen any of the supposed prompt leaks, and we know that it's really hard. Sometimes these models hallucinate the prompt that it received, so we don't really know the prompt itself. But basically, I haven't seen the actual term "kill the boar" anywhere in the supposed leaked prompts, and it sometimes appears out of the blue. And this is reminiscent of like the Golden Gate Cloud. So I actually don't know what's going on. Which, LDJ, we should talk about the transparency of this and maybe the benefit of open source models that nobody can change on you when you run them yourself in the context of this. But do we know that it's prompt? Have you seen anything that like people discuss?
No, I haven't seen hard evidence of that. But like Nisten said, it seems like based on the behavior of it, I strongly suspect that it probably is something having to do with system prompt or like when you say Golden Gate Cloud, like that does bring up a good point that it's possible there might be some type of like vector steering, like you're doing you have like sports autoencoders or something to. Sorry, Yam, go Ernest, and I see you guys.
It's just the context. It's just the context. Somehow,
like
I'm not sure if the prompt even is changed, but models like Grok are connected to systems that feed them information and so on. God knows what just went into the context. It just sounds like some sort of a bug. That
I'm going to defend. I don't know why. I'm going to defend Grok here. Look, I've been put on timeout from Twitter for talking stuff to Elon about building concentration camps, so don't get me wrong where I come from. On that regard, like I'm pretty open to directly criticize him, but a lot of this stuff that really looks like an overreaction to me, because one, I tried to test it and it was being pretty it was still being pretty both-sided. I wasn't able to test it directly myself. In the responses that they posted, you could also see that Grok was trying to do both sides of the argument. And a lot of those screenshots were actually started from an @Grok conversation, which took into context the tweets in the first place. So that was a guided conversation, and it wasn't just out of nowhere. See, like that is on a thread. So Grok tends to like continue on the thread if that's what the thread is about. It's not how
the response to Pope Leo literally was, "Hey Grok, explain this to me in Monkey Island terms," and it brought the "Kill the Boar" as a sea shanty. "Kill the Boar" is like a song that calls for violence. There's nothing in this, unless we don't know how Grok the response also works.
Keep
maybe
in mind,
it pulls in context, but
they say use a Grok small for the online one, which whatever that means. So because I opened the actual app and I was not able to reproduce any of this.
This feels like Grok the responder, not Grok.com. This or API. Definitely, I agree with you. Yeah.
They specifically say we use a smaller model for responding to the tweets. So like, there's a lot of nuance to this, and I really think people are overreacting.
So let me add this comment then, because I didn't realize this until literally just now. Yeah. Uncle is actively tweeting about South African government.
Yeah, that's on all this RAG. If it looks anything up on the RAG, that's the first thing that's going to come up.
What I'm saying is the guy who controls the full ability to change whatever prompt he wants in this thing that many people use to understand some stuff. Look, dude, I literally until this point, folks, I don't have any agenda here. I love, you guys know that like I use Grok for like a bunch of stuff. I had my issues with Grok that I can tell you about in a second. I literally just like looked into the boar thing. I just like looked it up on X. The 4 hours ago, Gorklan Rust, which is the latest, this dude's latest nickname. He's tweeting about the active politics of South Africa. We cannot ignore the fact that like the guy who owns the AI that many people use to understand the world via X, and he's talked about maximum truth, his AI went rogue and started talking about whatever political position he holds, unrelated to the actual thing. We just cannot ignore this. Like we didn't ignore the glazing stuff. Now, with the glazing stuff, OpenAI not only admitted this, they rolled back the prompt, and then they also told us why, and then they wait on an AMA in Reddit, and they also released another blog post that told us exactly what happened with as much detail as I ever saw from OpenAI.
Extremely good blog post. Like
that blog post was extremely good, more open than we are used to see OpenAI. It looks like they legit, like, you know, got spooked by the amount of influence they have and their models have, and the effect of something like this on the psyche of the millions of people who use this every day. I'm pretty sure that millions of people use Grok every day to understand tweets, and the maximally truth-seeking AI should not be just a statement. If Elon Musk can sue OpenAI for being open and not getting closed, and stand in court with a full face and say, hey, I only invested it because we wanted it open, and then I'm putting out Grok as like the maximally truth-seeking AI, that we should absolutely see some transparency at the same level that tells us why the fuck does Grok respond with kill the boar statements when somebody asks about Pope Leo's tweet in Monkey Island terms? Why the hell does the kill the boar thing even come in there? That doesn't seem like context to me.
But
sorry
wasn't
for
the tweet in context to
no,
that?
dude, no. Check out the screenshot in the link. There's no context there, as far as I see. Maybe the screenshot was doctored. I don't think so. I've seen other examples. LDJ, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we all probably agree, like, it would be good to get transparency on why these things happen, regardless of whether that's just through like context of hot topics happening on Twitter, or whether that's through maybe it's taking in like context that it's upweighing from Elon's direct tweets, or whether it's just in system prompt. But yeah, I think it could be like any combination of those things, really. I'm leaning towards system prompt, but I mean, what you say about, you know, coincidence of Elon tweeting something and then the AI acting in a certain way too, that could also just be like correlated, but more indirectly correlated in the sense of like Grok takes in context, specifically upweighing Elon's tweets, for example. And then if it's like especially like taking context from his tweets to drive its behavior, then that could maybe lead to that too. But yeah, I guess what we don't know, and hopefully they give us information on how this happened.
So we would love, not that X.AI folks are necessarily listening to this podcast, maybe one of them is, folks, we just like to express to you that the immense responsibility for folks using your product to understand the world is on your shoulders. And stuff like this fucks up with your credibility so much that this is basically one of the reasons why the first half of this show was spent on open source. This never happens when you host your own models. This would never happen when you trust open source models. Even Grok 2, which, hey, by the way, where's Grok 2 in open source, folks? We were promised. Remember, Grok 3 would come out, Grok 2 would get open sourced. When you host your own models, this never happens. And I think it's a very, very big lesson here. But the fact of the matter is many people will not use open source models. Many people will use whatever offers to them, because at Grok responding and saying, is this true, is super way more convenient than even going to ChatGPT, pasting the tweet. It's like, it's just right there. And the huge responsibility is on your shoulders, folks who work in these labs, to make sure that we trust whatever AI you're building, not to mention that like things like this, where somebody in the top decides something, potentially, allegedly, we don't know what happened, but this starts to like clear, like this is what happened. When these models can do more and more agentic stuff in our behalf, we should know why they're doing stuff, and the why shouldn't be just because it matches with, I don't know, with some agenda. All right, folks, I think we had enough on this. We call this Boargate because kill the boar is the sentence that it brings up in every sentence. We had Glazing-gate, we had Boargate. I'm not loving the thread. I am not loving the thread. I'm not loving the trend of AI chatbots that everybody uses going off the rails for one reason or another. Hopefully we'll learn from this. Hopefully the fact that they like happen close to each other will showcase to folks that like it's very, very important to double check as well and use other models when one model doesn't suffice. Moving on, I think we're moving on to, folks, let's move on to this week's buzz. Super quick. welcome to this week's Buzz, a corner at ThursdAI, that I talk about everything that happens in weights and biases and related things. And you see me right now with the weights and biases beautiful hoodie that you can win in one of our hackathons. I'm in San Francisco in the office, in the podcast studio, within the Weights and Biases office in San Francisco. And I'm here because, well, we're supposed to have a hackathon this weekend and we moved it. However, we also are coming to San Francisco very soon. I really want to tell you about that. Our conference is called Fully Connected. It's a 2-day conference that I really want to show you what that is about. Give me just 1 second, and I will definitely tell you. I'll also give you a promo code there. Let's see if this is the thing that you guys see. So if you go to fullyconnected.com, you can see we have a two days full of like 20 speakers. We have folks like Varun Mohan from the core. Excuse me, from Windsurf, aka Codium, formerly Codium, and we have Hen Goldberg, the CoreWeave Senior Vice President of Engineering. Obviously, Weights and Biases has joined CoreWeave recently, so you'll hear a lot about this. Our CEO is going to take a keynote, Lucas Bewald, and then CTO as well, Sean Lewis. It's going to be great. We have Joe Spizak from Meta joining as well, and we have a Google keynote at the end. VP Product AI, Javi Amatrinian. I have. Folks, I've been to Fully Connected before. It's a great conference that we try to bring tons of people who use Weights and Biases with the product that I talked about. There's going to be a lot of CoreWeave folks in there as well to do some FaceTime with as well. This is a great 2-day conference. I have a coupon code for you that you can use to get in for free. Just don't tell anyone. The coupon code is WB ThursdAI, not ThursdAI, ThursdAI. I want to say we did this on purpose to confuse you, to like make sure who's listening, who's not listening. But yeah, use this promo code and join us at this conference. Would love to see you. So this is number one. Just before this, there's like 2 places that yours truly will show up, and I have some promo codes for this as well, of course. One of the biggest conferences for AIs in this year is AiEngineer's World's Fair. AiEngineer is this term coined by a friend of the pod, Swix, that talks about the very specific specialization that we now have for folks who work with AI, predominantly building features with AI or using AI or doing vibe coding. AiEngineer is kind of a very broad term. AiEngineer is a conference, has grown incredibly since the 2023 debut. The last time we were there is the AiEngineers Summit in New York that we participated in, and also gave it a talk. This AiEngineer World's Fair is coming to San Francisco June 3rd to June 5th, and tickets are flying like hotcakes, and the sponsors list is insane. Just absolutely insane. And so I would love to also tell you that yours truly is going to speak there about MCP observability, and I would love to AI.engineer. I would love to invite you as well. They claim this is the only conference that your engineers need to attend. By the way, when you come to the website, you see me right here, super quick. I love that the video of me is still there. World's Fair has largest industry event to discover what's new and create what's next. NeurIPS for engineers, that's what people call this. And really the companies that support this and that they have booths there is just absolutely ridiculous, including Weights and Biases is a proud sponsor of AiEngineer for the 3rd year in a row, I believe. And yours truly, I'm going to chat about MCP observability together with Ben from MCP Run. We're going to take the stage and give you an update what happens with MCP and observability on the new MCP track that's fully oversubscribed, that I fear that there's going to be people standing at the door with a bunch of folks from Anthropic as well. And that's going to happen on June 4th, I believe, and June 5th is the main conference. Not only this, we are going to take the stage, or not the stage, I guess, the media booth by the stage, and ThursdAI is officially, I think I was the first podcaster besides Latent Space, which is obviously Swix's and Alessio's podcast itself. But besides them, I think I was the first podcaster covering AiEngineer, and we're going to be live from the media booth doing ThursdAI in that's 3 weeks from now, I believe. right from San Francisco Marriott Marquis Hotel. So if you want to join AI Engineer, how do you do so? Because the tickets are flying off. We have a promo code for you as well. The promo code is ThursdAI, properly spelled. So thanks whoever built this. I will add this to the show notes as well. The promo code is ThursdAI. Let me actually show this to you guys as well. I know that people already commented this code. They tried it out. It didn't work. It works now. We checked. So thank you for commenting. Promo code is ThursdAI. Is going to give you a bigger discount than the early bird tickets. So that's super cool. You guys should definitely come say hi to us. We're going to be there. Yam, are you going to be there? Potentially?
Potentially, yeah. Actually,
All right.
Also for your hackathon, for your conference. I just saw the dates for the first time. I'm going to be there. So
let's go. Yam's going to be.
If you know,
if things work out,
I'll find the spot on the flight. But
yes.
that's pretty much the problem at the moment. But yeah, I'm coming.
Alrighty, folks, you heard it here first. If you want to join any of the San Francisco AI festivities, those are two incredible events. You can string them into one. You can come for 2 weeks and then come to AI Engineer and then get your 30% off. I think that's how much we had for this. Thanks, ThursdAI. And then just chilling. I'm sure that it's not going to be a boring week in San Francisco. It's going to be crazy. And then come to Fully Connected and meet everybody who works with Weights and Biases. There's a lot of people. And it's about to be a lot more people because of the CoreWeave acquisition as well. All right, this has been this week's Buzz. Let's continue with some multimedia stuff and then conclude this show. Land this plane. All right, folks, this has been this week's Buzz. And again, all of the promo codes and links to events and everything is going to be in the show notes. So definitely follow ThursdAI.news for that. Folks, we're moving on from big companies and APIs. Nisten, we want to talk about multimedia stuff. You mentioned that 2.1 from Alibaba is something of an interest of yours this week. One released a full stack text to video foundational model from 1.3 billion nano and 14 billion full models. Did Diffusion Transformers backbone with custom VAE. They have editing tasks as well. Nisten, you tried this one. Tell us what you're better than I read the specs. Tell us what you think about these models.
Dude, we're at the point where we can actually have the whole thing rendered in front of you in 3D as you talk to it. Like, that is crazy. We reached the holy grail, basically. And we reached it before a provider provided it, and we got it like at home first. I think this is going to be crazy because, again, it's the power of open source and smaller models, and they can run faster.
How good is this? How good it is?
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. The 14B one is actually pretty good, and you can do anime and stuff too. It's not. Their Pro one is very nice. It's not like VO. Like VO is on a whole other level. Mm-hmm. But I think it's at the point now where you can have like an actual avatar, and it's not as good as HeyGen. I'll give it that, but it's actually pretty close.
Because it's a generic model. It's not necessarily an avatar model, right? It has avatar things, I believe, but it's not necessarily avatar model. The model we're talking about is WAN, WAN.video. This is from Alibaba. So, you guys know Qwen. So Qwen is the Qwen team is the LLM model. WAN is the video model. They've upgraded this model and they released like a bunch of open source, which is great because those are frontier level video models. We should maybe show an example.
Again, it's not that good. I'm just judging it from the point where we have Cortana from Halo to actually do it for real, and now we're at the point where we can actually do that for real, which is pretty cool because it is all neural generated. You're not moving around the Unreal Engine model and stuff there. All of it is.
The thing I want to highlight is that they claim that the tasks that it covers is like a wide range of tasks. So text to video, image to video, in painting, video in painting, instruction editing, reference subject, which is great. That's Nisten, what you're talking about, personalized avatars, and style transfer. A lot of these things are not necessarily easy to do. Definitely open source models, and HeyGen and like other are not open source at all. And so it's great to have something like this in the open source. So shout out to the Alibaba team, folks. You can check out this model on the Hugging Face mode, and I believe they also have like a video space thing that you can try. We can take a look at this.
Yeah, it's also, if you want the API, just go to FAL.ai. They're a bit expensive, but I found them to be the most reliable, and they just focus on these types of models. There are other providers from it too.
FAL, just to maybe my disclaimer, FAL.ai are absolutely friends of the pod. We love everything they do. They proxy other models as well, so they're not only hosting open source models, they're proxying like VO as well. That's my number one recommendation to folks, to go to FAL and try and have like all of your models unified in one place. Also, speaking of FAL, go ahead, Nisten.
Last thing, I tried Qwen Deep Research on their site. It was very good. It made like a 4 or 5 page PDF.
Wait, you're switching completely to, because of Alibaba, you're switching completely to
just because that
tell
came in
people
mind.
what you're talking about super quick. Not related to video models at all, right?
Not video models. Now, Qwen's website, they added a deep research capability with their large MLE model. I tried it out with programming. Looks pretty good to me. Makes a nice PDF. I found it pretty useful. Actually, I think it's on par with like Grok can have a little bit better data sets, but the models, I don't know. I like the styling of the PDFs. It's still not OpenAI's.
Speaking of PDFs as well, OpenAI finally launched the thing that I was been waiting for. The same thing, deep research results can now be exported into a PDF format with the tables. One of the most annoying things in the world after you use deep research is to actually do something with it, because you cannot copy all of this. You cannot ask deep research, give me everything in Markdown, especially it loves tables. O3 loves tables. And so OpenAI added export to PDF. It's such a small but very, very important thing. I'm very, very happy about this. So Nisten, thank you. Apparently Qwen does as well. Folks, we're moving on from video super quick. I think it's time to like land this plane. Voice and audio, the only last 2 things that I wanted to tell you. Number 1 on the TTS arena is Julio's Minimax Speech. It's really good. It is really good, folks. I've been like creating voices on myself to talk about like zero shot. No. This is state of the art, but not open. But they released a paper of how to do this, so hopefully, open source models can follow suit. And they're number 1 on the TTS arena. And they talked about the training corpus, architecture, fast conformer, blah blah blah, latency. It's really good, and you should try it if you haven't tried this as well. I don't know why it talks about license for weights, but I haven't seen.
Wait, that might be open because they talk about running it on a 3060 at 1.2 times real time.
Yeah, but
Minimax speed. All right.
Let's take a look, and we'll update this. And also, Stability AI came back from whatever place they're in. I haven't heard about Stability for a while, and we talked about Stability a lot in the beginning. They released Stable Audio Open, small, a 341 million parameters on device text to audio models. They generate music on ARM smartphone CPUs, so they can generate up to 11-second stereo clips in under 8 seconds on ARM smartphone GPUs. So it's pretty cool. I think the last thing, we'll skip the 3D because I think we talked about this. Folks, this is the last thing that I want to show. The robots are dancing. Folks. We have a Unitree G1, Engine AI, and Tesla Optimus recently released a dancing video of their bot. And I think this is a great place to finish on.
People are chilling with humanoid robots at home at the moment. Like people have humanoid robots. I saw
at least
individuals
Harrison
on tweets.
Our friend Harrison Sendex, Kingsley. Sorry.
Harrison Sendex has one now. He bought one too in his farm.
Sendex has a Unitree G1. And he talks about this. He's chilling with him. Hopefully, we'll chill with one very, very soon. I will say, that for this hackathon that we planned to do this weekend, and we moved to July, that you should come to July. We have a robotic dog in the office right now, so we're chilling with at least like a friend. But yeah, humanoids are coming faster than we think, and they're dancing, folks. The Tesla Optimus, that 2 years ago when it was announced, 3 years ago, they needed a human in a suit to show that it's dancing, and now then they, you know, this thing is coming. The robots are coming, folks. I think on this topic, we'll just
Anthropic just released research for mobile.
Yeah. I'm getting some
Is it
feedback
on
that the
Maps?
discount code nothing works. I will follow up and make sure that all discounts work on the newsletter. So Joseph, whoever commented, and if the discount didn't work for you, I will make sure that all of the discounts work in the newsletter as well. Please follow on ThursdAI.news. Folks,
By
time
the way,
to end this plane.
the HeyGen discount code Thursday 4.
Yeah.
That one still works great for everybody.
Yes.
So you got 3 months of unlimited use, basically. That one's great.
All right, folks, time to land this plane. Very chill week. Before next week is going to be insane. Prepare for this. Next week is going to be insane. I'm going to be in Google I/O, and then I'm going to report probably from home. We'll see. Microsoft Build is coming up next year. Google I/O is coming up next year. And as always, either Claude or OpenAI or all of them will try to steal thunder from each other. Rest assured that we're here on ThursdAI to cover everything that happens and tell you what's important. And that's what we've been doing. This week was a chill week. We're still at 1 hour and 55, and we can still go. I think there's more stuff to talk about, but we should land this plane. I should go and edit and send you all of the things in the show notes. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We have more than 1,500 people at least on the video, and then we have a bunch of folks in the space as well. Thank you everybody who participated in the show, gave comments. Huge thank you for Yam and LDJ and Nisten, co-hosts of the show, and thanks Dylan for joining from News Research to talk about the Psyche effort that they released, and good luck for them on the 40 billion run. If you missed any part of the show is edited by yours truly and then posted on ThursdAI.news as a podcast and a newsletter. So if you want any links of the show, including the coupon codes, very important coupon codes that don't seem to be working at the moment, we'll fix them and we'll send them in ThursdAI newsletter by end of today. If you missed any part of the video podcast, we're live on YouTube. It's going to be recorded there. As always, I'm going to put up chapters after this so you don't have to listen to all of it. With this, have a great end of this week. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch of news this weekend as well. We'll keep you up to date on X. So follow Jan Pelek, follow LDJ Confirm, follow @Nisten, follow me @Altrain on the socials as well. With that, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in on ThursdAI. We're going to see you next week. That's it, basically. Bye-bye, everyone. Cheers. We'll see you next week.